Age I do abhor thee. Youth I do adore thee.
Love is not love which alters when it alteration finds, or bends with the remover to remove.
What comfortable hour canst thou name that ever graced me with thy company?
Cry havoc, and let slip the dogs of war.
Of all the voices that have come down to us from the past, from the Greeks, from the Romans, from the Renaissance, there is perhaps none with greater immediacy to the human experience than Shakespeare.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players.
What you find in Shakespeare is this remarkable convergence of a particularly rich and wonderful literary talent that finds its perfect medium of expression in the theater. And the result is a body of creative work that has no parallel.
Life's but a walking shadow. Poor player struts and frets his hour upon the stage and then is heard no more.
What a piece of work is a man. How noble in reason, how infinite in faculty, in form, in moving.
Plays like Othello, like Lear, like Hamlet, still show us something about ourselves, still show us something about the world we live in. And that's the power of great art. That's the power of Shakespeare.
Located a block from the U.S. Capitol, the Folger Shakespeare Library was founded in 1932 as a monument to a great playwright and gift to the American people. Supported in part through an endowment administered by Amherst College, the Folger today is an international center for scholarly research, a national leader in humanities education.
Everyone's going to act today. It'll be a lot of fun. We're going to get up on the stage and do stuff. Everyone.
And a vital fixture in the cultural life of Washington, D.C.
The Folger started as a result of the passion that Henry Clay Folger developed for Shakespeare. And with his wife, Emily Jordan Folger, they began a lifelong pursuit, really, of things related to Shakespeare. This involved purchasing as many early printed texts as they could of Shakespeare's plays, and eventually collecting as many of related materials as they could. And then it was their desire to give that collection to the nation, and what fitter place to do that than Washington, D.C., a block from the Capitol.
Built upon the Folger's enormous personal collection, the library now includes hundreds of thousands of rare and significant books, manuscripts, engravings, prints, and playbills relating to Shakespeare and his times. It's also home to musical instruments, costumes, films, and an astonishing array of literary artifacts.
The core of that collection are really the 79 first folios of Shakespeare's plays. The first folio is the first collected works of Shakespeare, the histories, the comedies, the tragedies. Many of the plays, The Tempest, As You Like It, we would not have at all, and they would be lost to us but for the first folio.
The Folger is absolutely amazing. Its collection of Shakespearean is the biggest anywhere. One of the great things about the Folger First Folio collection, there are copies that contain annotated pages, which turned out to be quite important. We can actually see what passages were cut for performance, quite a lot. Hamlet's a nice play to find prompt annotated leaves from.
The Folger is a world-class research library. On most any day, the library's two main reading rooms are in use by visiting scholars from all corners of the globe. These readers, as they're called, come to the Folger to find materials that exist no place else. With Shakespeare as its nucleus, the Folger's collection extends out to touch nearly every aspect of European life and thought of the 16th and 17th centuries. Today, about 25% of readers focus their research on Shakespeare, while others pore over a broad range of topics from Renaissance Europe.
It's called the Renaissance because the whole continent was infused with energy and vitality and ideas. The collection here reflects the best that was done in that period in any discipline, in any country, in any language.
One place you'd find this variety of interests on display is at afternoon tea, a decades-old tradition at the Folger.
It remains really at the heart of the communal conversation that is the Folger Library, because it is the staff, it is the readers who take a break from whatever they're doing during the day and gather over tea tables and they discuss what's going on in the pages of their books. There have been more articles and books generated through conversations at tea than you would believe.
The dialogue that takes place at tea is also conducted in more formal ways at the Folger. Through publications and programs, such as the Shakespeare Quarterly and the Folger Institute seminars, the library actively fosters scholarly discourse among a wide academic community. And now, thanks to the web, the resources of the library are within reach of an ever-expanding constituency, from scholars in China to high school students on deadline for term papers to curious members of the public. Though access to the reading rooms is reserved for working scholars, rotating exhibitions of items from the collection can be viewed by the public year-round in the Great Hall. And visitors can even take a bit of the Folger home with them in the pages of an exhibition catalog or in a gift inspired by the collection, both found in the library's museum shop. Since the library opened, millions of researchers have picked up and examined the many rare and valuable items that are housed at the Folger. This repeated handling, combined with exposure to pollution, light, heat, and humidity, can endanger the library's collection. Ensuring that these fragile artifacts remain intact for future researchers is the work of the Folger's conservation staff.
I think the Conservation Lab at the Folger is one of the strengths of the institution. It's engaged in treatments here that are done nowhere else in North America. That's working with some of the most fragile material and caring for it in a way that not only makes it accessible, but makes it able to be handled, exhibited, used in ways which were previously impossible.
Whether replacing disintegrating bindings, reinforcing weakening paper, or perhaps reversing the effects of earlier, more primitive conservation methods, it's a painstaking but vitally important task that goes on daily at the Folger.
These are a series of playbills of which we have literally hundreds of thousands of them. My concern here is that we just simply preserve these things for the future. And once we finish treating these things, they'll be able to survive another 200, 300, 400 years before anybody else will ever have to deal with them again.
This isn't a precious place where everything is in a jar on a shelf and nothing is taken off and opened. We want these materials out. We want them used. And that's the primary function of our conservation lab.